Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to yet again another Snyder Cut sermon. And today I am joined by the legendary, the extraordinary, and the fantastic brothers, and their names are Fran and Jordan Ross. Brother Fran, man, how you been doing, man? It's been a while.
Well, I've been doing great, working hard on university and working hard to the future release the Snyder Cut events that we are going to have. Been working on videos and GIFs and all that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Jordan, man, how you been doing, man? It's been a while.
Pretty good. I mean, I think yesterday was a great day for the fandom to hear some news of some screenings confirmed, which was pretty nice. So I'm doing great.
Good, good, good. And that'll mostly be the topic of today's sermon. And yesterday was indeed a very, very great day because we have confirmation that Zack Snyder's Justice League was indeed screened a few months back. Uh, Brother Fran, man, do you think that this is a signal that we are headed in the right direction?
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, of course, like if he's screening the movie to new executives, especially the AT&T ones or Warner Media ones, yes, of course, it's a huge step in the right direction. Like, and I made a quick video yesterday, and there's this guy which I can't remember his name. He's like full on anti Snyder Cut. My source tells me it's not coming out or whatever. Yeah, that's probably the name. I don't remember it. And he said something like, "Yeah, I've talked to my source, and he said that they fucking hated it and this and that." And it's like, not. It's not that no one cares. It's that AT&T doesn't care. Like that's like, I mean, they are the bosses now, and they cared. And from what we've been able to see from that point on forward, he publishing that slate for future additional photography. That means he got the money or he got some kind of approval. So the fact that Warner Brothers doesn't like it, fuck them. Like they are not the bosses anymore. The important thing is that AT&T saw the potential. Things look like are moving in the right direction. And I'm sure that we are really close. I mean, not really close, but close to an announcement, really. So I think that, yeah, for sure, it was a really good step in the right direction.
Got you. Brother Jordan, man, do you think that this signals that things are indeed headed in the right direction for Zack Snyder's Justice League and the fandom?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally. And I think it's one of those things where this screening, from what I understand and what I've heard from like insider people, the screening wasn't new information, but it's finally being but it's new for information for a lot of people in the fandom because of course, and it's something you have to assume, because of course if Snyder is negotiating with Warner Brothers, at some point they're going to sit down and watch the movie. I mean, they probably sat down and watched the movie a few times. They probably watched it once just to see what the cut was about. Then they probably watched another time where he broke down numbers of what he'd like to do and what that would cost. So, and I think the sign that he hasn't posted anything in a while, I think that's a good thing because, you know, he was posting everything up until about that screening date. And then he announced the slate, or he released that picture of the slate. And so I think they were making a deal to go into some additional photography, but you know, the coronavirus messed that up. But I think things are definitely positive for us.
Completely agree. And let's hope that he does. And I sincerely believe that he will get to finish all the scenes necessary that he needs to finish, whether that's with Martian Manhunter, whether that's with whichever lantern that Sam Benjamin is playing. Though I will say he looks a hell of a lot like Hal Jordan, and whether that's the scenes with Darkseid. Now, Fran, I want to ask you this, brother, because we've talked about this. You and I and Brother Jordan Ross have talked about this in the past, and there's different opinions about it. I did message you a few days ago. Post that I saw that kind of made me excited, but also made me laugh because it's likely not the case. However, it would be very nice. Would you say that it is realistic to expect an announcement on HBO Max, the launch date?
On May 27th? No.
Mm.
Like, no, I mean, it's something reasonable with everything that's been going on, but I mean, there's an event on that day for something. Like, listen, I don't know. Like, I don't have 100% confirmation, but I can tell you that there's an event that day for something, which is to show HBO Max that there's still a demand. I mean, they already know, but it's always great to show them how much people are going to subscribe to their service just for the movie. So an announcement that day, no. Maybe we get something from Zack. I don't know. Like, I have no idea. He's been quiet, like Jordan said, for 2 months. So maybe a little. It doesn't have to be like a really important photo. It doesn't have to be like a dark side or something like that. Just a little thing to make the hashtag spike in trending. But I don't know. I think that it's a great day to show our love and support for him and for the movie. And don't let this news hype you up so much that when May 27th happens and nothing gets announced, you're like, oh, fuck this, whatever. Like,
right.
A lot of people tend to do that. Like, oh, he posted this thing, so if you're going to 2 + 2 is 4, and then you -1 is 3, and that means that it's on March. So, I mean, he likes to do that kind of stuff, but let's relax a little bit. Just enjoy the day. Tweet the hashtag as much as you can. Let's make it trend next to HBO Max, like last time, with that it said something like HBO Max trending with release the Snyder Cut and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like, that's the best thing that we can do right now.
I agree. So, in other words, in layman's terms, friend, because some folks might not quite get it, and people will be saying, "Oh, why Josh Samuel?" I get it. I'm just making sure you understand. In layman's terms, brother friend, what you're saying is we should tweet passionately, but keep our expectations realistic. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had to keep our expectations realistic. Like, the whole structure and infrastructure to get this movie released is not just like okay, let's do it. Like, nothing is that simple. Like, this is like negotiations. This is like a sale, and a sale that involves $40 million. I mean, a sale that involves that kind of money, it's not going to be that quick. Maybe he got approval. Like I said, I'm always talking out of assumptions. I don't know anything. But if he got approval on February, that means that they said, okay, we are going to give you money to finish this. But that doesn't mean like that he said, okay, give me 40 million, and they said, all right. No, I'm sure that they are saying, well, we'll give you 50 million. And he's like, no, give me 45. And they're like, 20 million. And we are going to change Steppenwolf, and we're going to have this and that, and we are going to come back to the original script or whatever. Like, these things take time. So, like I said, we don't have to overhype ourselves too much. Because then disappointments happen and people are like, oh, fuck this, fuck him, he doesn't say anything, whatever. Just relax. Like, the finish line is close. Just relax and keep on moving.
Yeah, 100%. And if you love Zack Snyder, if you love his movies, starting with Dawn of the Dead all the way to Zack Snyder's Justice League, if you are a fan and you love his movies, you should want to hashtag this hashtag regardless of if it's weeks, months, or whatever the case may be. You should want to continue hashtagging. With that said, Brother Jordan, did you have any thoughts? Would you say it's realistic to expect an announcement on HBO Max's launch date, or should we keep our expectations realistic?
I think that it'd be more realistic. I think it will be announced this year. When that is, I don't know. Maybe they want to announce it on that first day. and get a bunch of people signed. Because I know for me, as soon as they announce it, and whatever platform they announce it on, I'm signing up right away. Doesn't matter if it's coming out in 2 years. Doesn't matter if it's coming out tomorrow. I'm signing up right away because I want to show my support. And I think if May 27th comes and they want a lot of people to suddenly sign up, then absolutely they'd announce it then. But I think it's more realistic to announce it later on because there's still a lot of content on HBO Max that they're going to put on. And I think the Snyder Cut would totally overshadow most of that. So I think they want to take it as far as they can. And then once stuff kind of steadies and kind of plateaus, then they announce it. And then they get, everybody signing on, like I know I would. And another thing to keep in mind too, Hollywood might reopen end of summer in August. We don't really know with the coronavirus stuff, but supposedly Snyder wants to shoot more for the movie, and he absolutely can do that with a skeleton crew. But the movie's not coming out this year. It's just not, and because there's just too much work to do on it. And even if there isn't a lot of work to be done on it too, I'm sure Snyder still wants to tweak and edit stuff here and there, and that takes time, that takes resources, that takes people and money. So it's just not realistic to expect it to come out this year, especially during the coronavirus stuff. If the coronavirus hadn't happened, then maybe end of the year. But, the virus screwed everything up. So we're probably going to have to wait for the movie for another year, maybe 2. But I think we're going to get an announcement by the end of the year at the very latest.
Yeah, I completely agree. Brother Fran, once again, I'll go to you. Again, I'm not one to call no names, and everything has been pretty chill for a little bit. But with that said, what must we in the Snyder Cut movement continue to do more of, in your opinion, Brother Fran?
What do we continue to do more of?
Yes.
Well, recently, from what I've seen, we tend to, how can I put this? Like, we tend to, we usually change our directions in terms of we should be focusing on one goal, and we tend to fight along the way for things that aren't really that important, which is kind of stupid. Listen, lately we tend to fight, like there's a lot of internal fighting. I don't really know why. Like I see some of the arguments and this and that, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But what we should be doing is focusing on the events, and that the movie is probably going to be announced sometime soon. So what we should do is be more positive, create more events, be more supportive of the film and of Zack, and that's it. Like, I feel like lately a lot of beef, call it whatever you want, has been going on, and I just hope that doesn't continue in the future, because that's not beneficial at all. Like, saying that, oh, this guy didn't do anything for the movement, or this guy is here for the Zack crack, or whatever. Like, that's not helping at all. Like, if you think about it, our common goal, the goal that the 100% of people in this movement has is seeing this movie. Then a lot of people also support Zack and whatever. What's the benefit from saying this guy never contributed to any event? Like, calling him out is going to make the movie come out faster, and it's not like a respectful comment. Like, when people say that kind of stuff, it's not like, hey, listen, I don't know, man, with all the respect that I can give you, could you like participate on more events? No, it's like, oh, you're a fucking snake, and fuck you, you're just here for Zack's attention. It's like, okay, well, like, whatever you want to say. That's basically what I think we've been doing, and we should really stop doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Again, as I said 3 million times, unity is the key. Putting aside differences is the key. Shout out to brother Luis. And just hashtagging because you know it's the right thing to do and because you're a fan. And like I said in another video, sometimes we get too focused on how somebody else goes about doing things. Like it's weird, brothers. It's like people are trying to play detective and just catch somebody slipping, or in their eyes catch somebody slipping. And for what reason, I don't know. If you hashtag release the Snyder Cut or hashtag Zack Snyder's Justice League or hashtag release the Ayer Cut and keep it moving, that's all it should be about. And brother Jordan, I'll allow you to chime in, my dude.
You know, I really think that we really need to call out more people and all the pipe timers, and let's just get them out and expose. No, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. Let's. Yeah, I mean, I think we are winning right now. I think that's the kind of general consensus. If my assumptions are true, I think a deal was made between Zack and the studio. I think COVID-19 definitely is. You know, I don't know how much it will affect that deal, but I think I think all we got to do is just keep applying that pressure, keep applying that positive, those positive messages on social media, keep using the hashtags. If you can, participate in the events and just show your love and support for Snyder, because that's just, you know, if we go quiet now, I'm sure that Warner Brothers will rethink the whole idea of, you know, giving him that extra chance. So I think we just need to stay positive, stay persistent, and just, you know, keep on doing what we're doing. I think what we, you know, I don't know how correct this is, but I feel like the hard part's over, if that makes sense. I feel like we've done all the heavy lifting that we can do. I could be wrong, you know, and I'll, you know, reserve my total, you know, opinion and judgment until, you know, we find out more information. But I feel like we are in the home stretch here in terms of what the fans can do. So I think let's just stay positive. Let's keep, you know, using the hashtags, keep reminding Warner Brothers, you know, that, hey, we would love to see this. And yeah, let's, you know, we're going to get it. It's going to come.
Yeah, and there's a little thing like what you said about Warner Brothers saying, oh, they don't want it anymore or whatever. Maybe that's like not 100% the case in terms of, oh, we're going to scrap it like in one blow, like, oh, fuck this, no one wants it. But I think that these little events in key days like HBO Max launch and things like that, maybe an extra help to. So, Zack, I heard that you wanted to change Steppenwolf's design. We are not really sure about that. And he says, okay, I'm going to put, I mean, I'm not saying that he puts those events, but hey, listen, how about I talk to some people and we coordinate an event on that day? And on that day, the hashtag gets 90,000 tweets. Like, we got up to this point because of numbers, like basically numbers. Like November 17th was 800,000 tweets, and that's what gave the green light. So I think that in terms of little changes, like, oh, maybe I'm going to, I don't know, shoot the Martian Manhunter cameo. Well, we are not really sure about that, Zack. Okay. And then 1 week later, 80,000 tweets with the hashtag. And they're like, okay, I see, like, we can talk about it. You know, like, I see these events as a way of supporting him through negotiations. Like, the fire is not going down. And if this is helping him to negotiate things that he wants, extra things that he wants to add to the movie, that's welcomed.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And bro, I just get chills. I get chills thinking about Junkie XL composing something for fucking Darkseid's entrance or something for Martian Manhunter's transformation when it's revealed that he is the Martian Manhunter. So whatever he wants, give it to this man. WB, give it to this man. We're here for it. I'm pledging, y'all are my witness, the viewers, you two. I am pledging to buy 7 copies, not 6, not 5, not 4, not 3. I am pledging to buy 7 copies of Zack Snyder's Justice League when you niggas release it. When y'all release it, I will buy 7 copies. And I will buy a select number of copies of the soundtrack when you brothers release it. Release it. All right, moving on. Got my little rant out the way. Now,
well, hold on, because that's a good question. How many copies are you gonna buy, Fran?
I mean, hey, listen. I mean, if they release it on HBO Max, and if they, for example, make an episodic series, I'm going to watch each episode like 6 times the same day until I memorize the dialogue or something. And if they down the line say, oh, we're going to make the, I don't know, Man of Steel trilogy, and it's like a steelbook with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it costs, I don't know, $35, I'm going to buy 4. Like I think that 2 years ago, I put out a tweet saying that if they were to put it on Blu-ray, I was going to buy 2 or 3 copies. So I'm a man of my word, so I will probably buy 2 or 3. Like maybe not the steelbooks, probably like 1 steelbook, but I will probably buy each edition, like the standard, the steelbook, the digibook, and the 3D one. Like, not kidding. Like out of just, I don't know, nerdism or whatever, just to have them.
What about you, brother Jordan?
See, I'm with Fran. I think if it's just on HBO Max, I mean, my girlfriend has a HBO account already, but I'm going to sign up for my own just because I want to show that extra support. If it's on Blu-ray, if it's just the standard Blu-ray, I'm probably going to buy like 4 or 5 copies. 1 to keep, 1 to play and watch, 1 to get, and then like 2 to give out to family members and friends and stuff, and just like let them borrow or keep. But yeah, I want to show my support however I can. So I'm like you guys, like I'm buying multiple copies.
Right.
You're going to approach your mom like, "Hey, listen, mom, I think that they made the Bible into a movie. You should really check it out."
It's like everybody gets the same Christmas present for me that year. Everybody gets a Snyder Cut.
The wrapping paper is Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh, what a surprise, Jordan!
Yeah, we're eager, we're hungry, and we want it and we need it. Moving on, brother Jordan, man, I'll start with you. Now, people are gonna say I'm reaching. People are gonna say, "Oh, this question has been answered already. Y'all should just want this and move on." Do you feel, with everything that has happened, with all the hashtagging, all the discussions, what we found out yesterday? Do you feel that there is plausible enough reasoning to believe that Zack could indeed finish the trilogy on HBO Max?
Oh man, that's a really fun question, but also really hypothetical, because it's like, we haven't gotten the cut yet, and like, and then like this is talking about what happens when the cut comes out. So, I think it's within the realm of possibility. I think there is a timeline in which, yes, he does come back and gets, finishes out his trilogy. I think that depends on how. Well, I think first of all, it depends on the COVID situation. Hopefully within the year things let up, which probably isn't going to happen. I think it's been projected to last another few years, even, which is a huge bummer, and in which case that would change the way Hollywood functions as a whole. It depends. It depends on how the Snyder Cut is released. If it's released on HBO Max, if it's released on DVD and Blu-ray and digital, it depends on what its numbers are and how much money it makes. I think it depends on Zack's interest and his team members' interest, because there's just no way you go back to do that trilogy if you don't have all the members of the Justice League. I think that doesn't work out. And so, I'm not smart enough, and nor do I have enough information or insight or foresight to be able to like accurately predict. But I think there is a timeline in which we get the trilogy and he's able to come back. But for now, that is a hypothetical of a hypothetical. So let's talk about that again once we get the cut, because then I think we'll have a better idea.
Those are some really good points. I personally, and Fran, of course, I'm gonna let you chime in, brother. I personally believe that it's gonna vary a lot on not just when the cut is released, whether that's on HBO Max or Blu-ray or DVD, as you said. I think they're also gonna watch and see how Army of the Dead does, and they should know by now, given how many people tweeted #release the Snyder Cut. That shit is gonna break Netflix. Like that movie with Chris Hemsworth, Thor, made 90 million views or some shit like that. We're going to get Army of the Dead way past that. Like I'm predicting like 120 personally. This people going to be like, "Oh, you reaching?" Like, nah, bro. This fandom is virtually unmatched and nobody can fuck with us. Anyway, Fran, what's your thoughts, brother? Do you feel there is plausible enough reasoning to believe that Zack could indeed finish his five story arc on HBO Max?
Well, I mean, you can never say never. Like, who would have told us in summer 2018 that we will get an announcement at a 99% probability in 2020? Like after that Ben Fritz article, we were like, okay, like that's not gonna happen for a long time. So we don't know. Like the streaming wars are about to start. Like we've had like little battles, but the war is about to start, and we know nothing about the streaming world. Like we know a little bit about how Netflix works. Now we're starting to realize how Disney works or how Apple or Amazon works. Like this is fairly new. So, I mean, I think that AT&T and Warner Media are going to, as any company, look at the numbers. If they release the Snyder Cut and it gets like, I don't know, 80 million views or 90 million views on the first month, they are going to seriously consider making 2 more movies. But because they are not Warner Brothers, so they don't have like that history of, oh, we fought because we didn't want that dark universe and we had our problems with Zack and whatever happened. Like they are completely new people. It's like for example changing schools. Like you get to a new place, there's like the boss, there's other people, whatever, but they are not your old guys. So everything's completely new. So they are like, okay, let's see how does it do, and it gets millions and millions of views. They're going to say, hey, listen, there's a big market for this. Are you sure that you don't want to continue this? Like, for fuck's sake, they are giving millions and millions to Adam Sandler to make funny comedic Netflix movies that cost like, I don't know, 30 or 40 million or more.
Right.
And they are giving him like 8 movies in 2 years or whatever. So if those movies, what we need to understand is that they don't, because it's a streaming service, they do not care about critics or about money. They care about views, because views mean money. So you don't need like, oh, if you don't pass 750 million at the box office, you're not getting a bonus. Or if your movie doesn't get more than an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, your movie is not getting a sequel. They do not fucking care about that. They just want numbers, views numbers. So you can make shitty movies like the ones that Adam Sandler does, but millions and millions and millions of people watch those movies. So they are like, hey, listen, keep doing them. Like he's 60 million, he's $80 million. Adam Sandler, please keep making those movies. So if we get the Snyder Cut to get so many views, they will be like, shit, like there's so much money to be made here. Here it is, Zack, 150 millions. Go make Justice League 2. And there's a lot of logistics that have to be played there, like the actors and the timing, and is Ben Affleck coming back? Is Henry Cavill coming back? I mean, there's a lot of things that will need to be discussed. But in terms of purely greenlighting it, I think that if HBO Max sees that in the first month the Snyder Cut gets released, it gets, I don't know, 80 or 90 million views, they would seriously consider talking to Zack like, hey, listen, do you want to make a part 2? Because we are making real money here. That's the thing.
Woo! Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio teaming up once again, brother. Goddamn. Moving on, brothers. Let me, brother Fran, I'll start with you, man. Now, for the people listening, do you believe, and this is coming off of some of his most recent tweets and a certain picture that has floated around the internet for quite some time now with Zack and David, do you believe that there is plausible enough reason to believe that the Ayer cut is more deeply tied to Zack Snyder's plans than people may realize?
Yeah, sure. Like from what David Ayer has said, well, I mean, he said that the Steppenwolf idea was scrapped out before shooting, but the fact that he said that there was like a boom tube and the little minions were supposed to be like parademons or something like that, he said in the final battle. So, I mean, this is like the same thing that happened with Aquaman. Like Aquaman is tied to the Snyder Cut, not to the theatrical cut. So Suicide Squad naturally will be more tied up. The Ayer cut will be more tied up to the Snyder Cut because they were working together, basically. Like David Ayer and Zack were talking, like Zack said. So, I mean, for example, release the Ayer cut. Yes, of course. Like, there's nothing better. There's no better connective tissue between movies than to get David Ayer's Suicide Squad out and Zack Snyder's Justice League out. So when people go to see Zack Snyder's Justice League, they are not like, oh, what is this? Like, what is going on? This is not tied up to Wonder Woman. This is not tied up to Suicide Squad. This is not tied up to the original Justice League. Like what is it? But if you put, for example, a double feature where you watch Suicide Squad, the Ayer cut, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League, you can have that connective tissue at the end of, oh, who are these guys? What are those, like insects? What is going on? And then you see like a boom tube and it says something like to be continued on Zack Snyder's Justice League. And the average moviegoer will be like, hey, listen, I don't know what that was about. Let's see this Zack Snyder's Justice League movie. So yeah, I think that because of what David Ayer and Zack Snyder talked and how we kind of know the ending of David Ayer's Suicide Squad, it would be a great connection to Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, and this would also likely support Joker, Jared Leto's Joker, obviously having more ties to the overall story as well. Brother Jordan, man, what about you, man? Do you feel that the Ayer cut is more deeply tied to Zack Snyder's plans than people may actually realize?
I don't know. That's a great question. I think it's pretty clear that in the beginning of the DCEU, Snyder was kind of working with all these different filmmakers, and he was probably letting them know what he was going to do, and then they would like work within that sandbox, but they weren't like necessarily Snyder's sandbox. It was like a sandbox adjacent to Snyder. So they were kind of, it seemed to be kind of really collaborative, and he really wanted to let the filmmakers do their own thing, but still having a connective tissue between the films, which I think is great. So, you know, I think it's also, we don't know as much about the Ayer cut as we do the Snyder cut. And it's funny because we really don't, I mean, we know the history of the Snyder cut, but in terms of what happens in that 3-hour runtime, we have no idea, which is, you know, crazy to think about. I think, you know, I heard a rumor actually, and I don't have the source on this. I'm probably way wrong. Whoever I wrote this probably isn't, you know, it's probably not the most accurate thing. But I heard a rumor at one point that the opening of Suicide Squad was Batman, beating up the Joker, supposedly because he killed Robin, which is incredible to think about. But all we can do is speculate for now. And so I think we definitely have more Ben Affleck as Batman. I think we'd for sure have more Jared Leto as the Joker. And whatever else ties into it, I don't know. We don't know enough about the movie. And even though I think the movie is probably more complete than the Snyder Cut, I would assume, because it's a less visual effects heavy movie, if that makes sense. But all I can do is speculate, and I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, friend, let me ask you this, man, and this is something we talked about again a long time ago. Haven't seen the Ultimate Edition and the theatrical cut. Tell the people listening why you feel Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, of course, would have grossed $1 billion. And the reason I asked that, friend, is because people often underestimate the power of a more complete, concise, and true to the director's vision type of film, what it can do for audiences. And if you browse social media during those times, people were apologizing. People were saying, "Oh, I was wrong for hating Batman v Superman. Oh my God, Batman v Superman is actually good. Why didn't WB release this in theaters instead?" Why do you think it would have grossed $1 billion, bro?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it will have grossed $1 billion, and I know that people say, "Oh, but if you make a longer movie, there's less places." I don't know the exact word, like less, like the place where you watch the movie. what's the word? The what?
Auditorium or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's like less screenings. That's like there's less screens because the movie is longer, and theaters don't want much longer movies because they don't get as much money. But it was just half an hour longer, with the hype surrounding the movie, because everyone was so fucking hyped. Like, this is Batman v Superman. Like, are you kidding? I don't think that most people would have cared to get a 3-hour movie, because it's fucking Batman and Superman, like, together on the screen. People just want to see as much of that as they can. And it would have been great, basically, because the critics wouldn't that harsh with it. I mean, it wouldn't have gotten like an 80%. Like, no way. Because people really hated it. But I don't know, maybe like a 50%, 50-something%. Like, if you are looking at the critics and you're like, oh, 50-something%, yeah, I can probably watch that. Like, it's an action movie, whatever. But if you're looking at the critics and you see a 27%, you're like, oh, so this is like really bad. And most people don't really care to have their own opinion and see, well, I'm going to watch it, and for my own opinion, they don't care about that. So yeah, I mean, and also the 3-hour cut, for me personally, it goes by much quicker than the theatrical cut. Like, it is so well structured that you don't really feel like you're in a 3-hour movie. So will it have grossed $1 billion? I don't know. Will it have helped? Yes, like by a lot, because maybe $50 million more just from the critics alone, because it got bashed so bad that most people probably thought, oh, I'm not gonna waste my money or my time.
Yeah, it's to this day that's the most bizarre thing to me, because to me it's one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. I will continuously defend that opinion and positioning. I think it's one of the greatest superhero movies ever, especially the Ultimate Edition. Fran, let me ask you this, and then I'll go to Brother Jordan. Do you think that the movie was a financial failure? Do you think that it needed to gross $1 billion? Because a lot of people seem to believe that it so desperately needed that $1 billion mark. It so desperately was in need of grossing $1 billion.
Well, I mean, in terms of the eyes of the studio, sure. Like, that's probably one of the reasons why everything that happened with Justice League happened.
Mhm.
Like, if the movie would have got like 1 billion plus, the studio will have said something like, okay, the dark tone really didn't connect with people because the critics are bashing this movie, but we are satisfied with the amount of money that we got. So, hey, listen, Zack, in the next one, you're going to change some things. And that maybe would have been it. But the studio was like, this is the Avengers. Like, this is our Avengers. We have to make so much money on this. And they got 876. And they were like, oh, shit. So the critics hate it. The people are not really going to the theater to go see it. I don't know if this guy is the right guy to to oversee this universe or whatever.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I'm sure that the studio was hoping for $1 billion. It didn't come, and we know what happened later.
Sadly, yes. Now, brother Fran, brother Jordan, thank you both for stopping by and collaborating with me on this. To the people listening, I do apologize that the chat section is not open. However, next time it definitely will be. Brother Jordan, man, now you're a fan of Man of Steel, you're a fan of BBS, you're a fan of Watchmen. For the people listening, I want you to tell them why you feel the critics got it completely wrong with Batman v Superman. Because, dude, this movie has a 20 something on Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't care about Rotten Tomatoes, but in this case, I do. It has a 20 something on Rotten Tomatoes, and meanwhile, I gotta borrow this from you, friend. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 2 even. I can't remember how these movies start. I can't remember how they end. To be honest, brothers, I can't even remember how the music sounds or the end credit sequences that people rave about. So, with that said, brother Jordan, why do you feel the critics got it completely wrong with BBS?
Oh man, dude, that's such a big question. Okay, well, I think I'll try to keep it under an hour for my rant. Okay, but I'll start with this. I think the day, okay, as a movie fan, I think that's what we are. Is we're movie fans. We like watching movies. We like enjoying movies. We like talking about movies. We like all things movies, and I think that's great and that's awesome. I think there's a lot of negativity in the kind of film community, film fandom, film whatever you want to call it. Whenever people go online and talk about movies, I think there's just a lot of negativity, a lot of cynicism, a lot of just kind of hive sheep mentality as well. I think it's very cool and popular these days to kind of tear a movie down, just because everybody else, is doing the same thing. I think that's popular, and that's what gets you a lot of clicks these days, is being negative about movies. And it is scary. Or I remember, around the time Man of Steel came out, this is about when I kind of gave up on critics in Rotten Tomatoes, or at least the current state of it. I remember being just kind of ashamed and embarrassed of liking BVS and Man of Steel. I remember feeling like I had to constantly explain myself. I had to constantly, like I couldn't be vocal about what I liked for fear of being like, dogpiled with like, oh, that sucks. This sucks. How do you like that? Blah, blah, blah. But honestly, the day I stopped caring about what critics think and what Rotten Tomatoes thinks, that is the most freeing I've ever felt in terms of, being a movie fan and being able to talk and enjoy things. Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who likes what. It doesn't matter how many people like a certain movie. It doesn't matter, because if it moves you, if it affects you, if you like it and if it makes you feel better, then just enjoy it. Don't worry about what other people think. And that would be my message to like all the movie fans out there, because there's a kid out there who deep down loves like Infinity War or loves like Endgame or some really popular movie, and he's like, this movie means a lot to me. This movie means something. And there's film like snobs going like, that movie's garbage, blah blah blah. This movie sucks. It's how can you enjoy cinema and you've never seen Kubrick? How can you watch that? But that's not helpful. That's not gonna like. He's just trying to enjoy what he likes. And you, on the other end, you know, there's a kid out there who's watching like, you know, some horror movie, and he's like getting into horror movies, and he's like, I love this. This is awesome. And he doesn't, you know, and he or she or they or whatever, they can't feel like they can talk about that movie online without getting dogpiled because it's got like a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's like, don't worry about that. Just worry about yourself because passion is it's infectious. And when I see someone talk about something they love online, that makes me feel good. And that makes me feel like good for them. They don't care about what other people think. And I think that's awesome to just totally disregard critics. And that's what we should all do just in general. Critics are wrong because the state of the movie industry or the state of modern film criticism is just terrible. You know, they don't even know what film criticism is most of the time. You know, there's a review, which is just an opinion. There's an analysis, which is, you know, talking about how to interpret a movie. And there's a criticism or a critique. And a critique is talking about the merits of the movie and what works. And it's saying, you know, if this doesn't work, how can we make that better? What a lot of critics these days do, they don't even do that. They just give reviews. You know, when you say that BVS sucks or wham, Martha, that's not helping the filmmaker at all. That's not talking about what about in the movie work. That's not saying, you know, you're not talking about the form of filmmaking. You're not talking about the technical aspects. You're not talking about from a place of like even intelligence when you just make fun of something or you just repeat what other people say. What you're doing is just repeating opinions that other people say. Yep. And even if you were the first one to make fun of a movie, like, how dare you call yourself a film critic? That doesn't help anybody at all. A lot of these nobody film bloggers on YouTube, a lot of these people who just came from backwater websites where they just talk about movies, they like snuck their way, they schemed their way into being like verified Rotten Tomatoes, verified Twitter users through nothing but just, you know, sheer luck. You know, the internet, you can never predict like how there's the trip to fame is like there's no one way to get famous or verified or YouTube famous or whatever on the internet. And you becoming a film critic, if you dare use that word, you becoming a film blogger or movie pundit, junket or whatever, that's lightning in a bottle. You didn't go to film school to study cinema. You didn't learn anything. You're not constantly trying to improve your form or your critiques or whatever. All you're doing is making fun of something. All you're doing is bashing something. And that's an opinion, and it's worth less than nothing because filmmakers every single day put their work on display. They put their heart and soul into movies. And to have it just bashed by someone who's like sitting in their basement, someone who's like just making fun of stuff, who's never made a movie, never attempted to do anything creative, that's just like disgraceful. That's just like gross and wrong. And don't listen to critics because that's what a lot of critics are today. That's what a lot of these movie bloggers are. They're just nobody who sits in their house, never going to make a movie, never going to contribute anything worthy to the art community at all. So screw them. Like, don't worry about them. You know, that's what's wrong with the way critics got BVS wrong is because there's something wrong with modern film criticism in general. And I think highlighting that it's not just BVS, it's a problem with lots of other movies. So I think we need to, as movie fans, we need to put less stock into other people's opinions. I think that's what went wrong with BVS in terms of the critical reception.
God damn. Fred.
That was a whole sermon right there.
Yeah. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I love to have Brother Jordan and Brother Fran on. They kill it every single time. In case you didn't know, Fran is the gift king and the YouTube king. Jordan Ross is the filmmaking king and the author of the term "lick my asshole," and he puts it in place every single time. So this is why, ladies and gentlemen, when I have guests, particularly Brother Fran and Brother Jordan, I love to let them have as much time to speak as they can because they school everybody and everything. As you just saw, Jordan Ross school everybody and everything, perfectly balanced. And finally, brothers, we're about to close. To the guests listening, again, I do apologize that the chat wasn't open. However, next time, and yes, there will be a next time, it will be open. Everything will be open for you all to chat so I can see your messages. Finally, brother Fran, let me ask you this. What are you looking forward to most in Army of the Dead?
Army of the Dead. I mean, it's probably going to come out before the Snyder Cut, so a new Snyder movie. Like that's like so general, but it's been like 4 years. Yeah, 4 years without a Snyder movie.
Mhm.
So I think that alone hypes me up enough.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I want to see some of that juicy slow-mo that he knows how to do. Like I want to see those like digital movements with the camera in the slow motion and Yankee XL's score that he recently said that he was going to score the film.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm just hyped for another Snyder movie. It's been too long without any more content from him, and I just want to see the movie skyrocket and be happy for the man.
Facts. Junkie XL score. I'm curious as to whether the zombies will be running in this one or they're gonna be kind of, walking with their head cocked to the side like they do in The Walking Dead. Obviously, the cinematography and the members of the cast, Dave Bautista, Mrs. Q, and the guy himself, Omari Hardwick, among others that will be in the movie. And yeah, again, this is a Zack Snyder movie. Why wouldn't you be excited? Brother Jordan, man, what are you looking forward to most in Army of the Dead?
I think the cast, honestly. I mean, I echo everything Fran says. I love the fact that we're getting a Snyder movie and it's been 4 years. That excites me. The fact that he's shooting it, he's the cinematographer on it. That excites me. The music, the story, and everything, that all excites me. But honestly, the cast. He's got a fantastic cast lined up with some of my favorite people in the industry. Samantha Joe, or what, always forget her name. She's the stunt woman that he always works with. There's Chris D'Elia, Dave Bautista. There's Garrett Dillahunt, who is a super underrated actor in everything he's in. He's just got a great cast lined up, and I can't wait to see how they all interact and work together in the movie. So I think that for me is the big thing I'm looking forward to.
I agree wholeheartedly. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have reached the end of this lengthy live stream. I have provided a link to both Jordan Ross and Fran. You guys give them a follow. Please remember to not get triggered, to use your hashtags wisely. And with that all being said, love, and we'll see you all very soon. Bye.